Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Genesis Mindset. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be starting the first of a series of episodes covering a new project that I spoke about in a recent stream with Adam from Vibra Finance. And that project is BTCMobick. So it's a fork of Bitcoin, actually. And the reason why I'm extremely excited about this project is one, the way that it entered into my life, and two, the more that I learn about it, the more it's actually just blowing my mind. So today I actually was in the process of translating the white paper, and I've been learning and studying it for the last couple of months since I first got introduced to it. And gradually, the more I learn, the more I'm getting excited about the potentials of this. One of the main reasons why I was interested in blockchain technology in the first place and cryptocurrency was the social aspect of it, how it can actually change the world. And this is something that I'm really seeing emerge through BTCMobick. So when I was reading the white paper today, it was really blowing my mind. But unfortunately, there were some things that I wasn't able to translate accurately. And so I had actually recorded a much longer video, but there was probably some things that weren't actually correct. So I'm actually going to now break this series up into smaller videos. And so today, what I'm going to actually be doing is just introducing the concept of Bitcoin and then how this created the hard fork that is BTCMobick. So what I'm doing today is I'm actually setting the scene. And this was actually extremely enjoyable. Bitcoin is something that I knew about. I've been learning about it for a long time, but in the process of actually trying to distill it into something incredibly short for everyone to understand, it's actually been a really enjoyable process. So I hope you enjoy this and I hope you actually learn something out of this and it really sparks your heart into what this whole phenomenon of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is actually all about. So without further ado, the Genesis Mindset. As always, this is a channel for mindset of investing, trading, and life. And I'm not a financial advisor. This is personal opinion only. I'm just here to help. I'm just here to share my mindset. And I do believe that having the right mindset will give you everything that you need in the world, and you can truly succeed with the right mindset. So let's get into it. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Bitmobick and the genesis of Bitcoin. So it all originates with Bitcoin. So in order to understand Bitcoin Mobick, we actually need to first understand what Bitcoin is. So I've tried to distill this into a way that even people that don't know anything about cryptocurrency will be able to start learning about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin from this video on. So I really hope I've achieved that, and I'd love to hear about it in the end of the episode in the comment section. So first of all, the Bitcoin phenomenon. What I'm going to be doing is presenting these slides with the problems that was in the world and then the solution that Bitcoin actually presents. So the very first one is decentralization. So the existing problem in the existing financial system is TradFi. So I'm going to call it TradFi from here on out, which is traditional finance, basically requires a centralized authority. So those centralized authorities are places like governments and banks. And so this centralized authority can actually control everything about the monetary system. And this actually leads to corruption, manipulation, and generally a lack of trust. And so this is a huge problem in the world right now. And the solution that Bitcoin provides is it operates on a decentralized network of nodes using blockchain technology. So this means no single entity has control over the entire system. So it promotes trust and transparency. And so what this blockchain is, it's a ledger. So you can basically think of a ledger as like a digital record keeping system. So if you think of like an accounting ledger where you're actually recording all your taxes and everything in your ledger, that's what this is, but it's all digitized. And it's spread across a network of decentralized nodes, which is computers, and they all work together to secure and verify this ledger. So you can think of it, again, like this accounting book, but nobody actually owns it. And it actually requires the entire network to participate in order to verify these transactions and interactions on the network, on the blockchain. Okay, the next one, transparency and immutability. So the problem is traditional ledgers, they lack transparency and they can be manipulated. So again, these traditional record keeping systems, most of them lack transparency. They can be altered, they can be manipulated. And again, this leads to the issue of a lack of trust. They can actually just fudge the numbers. And so the solution here is this is a public ledger that's transparent and unchangeable. So in other words, okay, so a blockchain is when there's a transaction, it creates a block. And then as this block gets created, it mines a reward in Bitcoin. So as this starts to happen, it's expanding the network out continuously. And so this is creating a ledger that is forever showing all the transactions. Anyone can view this. So you just simply need to type it on the computer, type it on your internet, and you can go to different types of transactions, any kinds of blocks. And once it's been added, it cannot be altered. That's a thing. You actually cannot alter it. The only way you can alter it or change it or rewind it back is with the participation of the entire network, which is generally impossible because it's a decentralized network. So actually getting everybody to participate in is next to impossible. And also it goes against the ethos of what it's actually about. So it's pretty much an impossibility, and it's extremely unlikely to happen. In the case of Bitcoin, it probably is at the point of being an impossibility. So it really upholds the integrity of the transaction history. So that's something that is very, very important. It's trustless. So this is a beautiful innovation. So the problem with traditional transactions, it needs a middleman. So it needs some kind of a bank or some kind of a middleman to verify these transactions. So there needs to be trust with your banks. And so, yes, some people trust banks, and yes, some people don't trust banks. At the end of the day, they also, because they are in the middle, they get a slice of every single transaction. They get a slice of the pie. So everybody always has to feed through these systems, and then their power expands and grows. And so we actually have to place our trust in that system. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's a blockchain that enables trustless transactions. So participants, they don't need to trust each other. They don't need to trust any central authority. Trust is actually placed in the cryptographic algorithm. So that is the decentralized network, and that's where the trust actually lies. So it's not in any individual person, it's in the mathematics of the system. Economics. So there's huge problems in economics at the moment, and in Australia and around the world, actually. Inflation. This is a huge problem. So people getting mortgages now getting hit with inflation, and they're really starting to struggle in their life. But in actuality, if you really understood what inflation was, it's actually a scam. And I know that that sounds harsh and, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. It's actually not. It is a scam that it quite literally is a scam. So the value of dollars are forever being reduced. The history of currencies from forever ago until now, the collapse of those currencies has always come about by inflation. So when the value of that coin that people once stored their value in becomes so inflated, then it collapses. So this is just a phenomenon that happens. So at the moment, there's money printers and they are inflating the currency. So we try to do all these different kinds of things to control that. But at the end of the day, it's an unstoppable beast. It's a byproduct of the system as it is. So the other problem here is the way this system actually works. As I mentioned before, for example, you have a mortgage and you buy a mortgage when the interest rates are at a certain percentage, but then the interest rates rise to counteract inflation. And the problem is now people are left in positions where they're even struggling with their day-to-day expenses, and they're really struggling with their living expenses. And this is a huge problem. So actually, inflation leads eventually also to decreased purchasing power. Now, the big part of the scam here is, and again, it just is what it is the people at the top are usually the ones that are getting the first dibs of the money. And when they get the first dibs of the money, they also get the first dibs of the best prices in everything. So in America, for example, it goes through the banks, the investment banks, so the central bank passes it down through there. And then they're the ones that start buying up all the assets. And then the assets get more expensive for everybody else. So they're not actually losing. Everybody that's losing is all the way down at the bottom of the food chain. So it's really something where if people knew about it, they'd be up in arms. There'd be an uproar about it. But it's just something that's conveniently not really shown to the public. They try to divert the attention elsewhere so that we don't actually think about these things. It's just the way that it is. The solution here that Bitcoin provides and blockchains provide, particularly with Bitcoin, is it has a fixed supply, so it upholds its value. So Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million coins, so it actually makes it immune to inflationary pressures. So this fixed supply is actually intended to preserve its value over time, and that's why you can see it just keeps going up. Now, this doesn't always happen with all the different kinds of cryptocurrencies. They all have different kinds of token supplies. They all have different amounts of tokens, but with Bitcoin, it's 21 million, and it is never going to be more than 21 million. That's why the value of it keeps going up and up, and people refer to it as digital gold. They store their value, that they preserve the value of their money in that in the blockchain. Then there's financial inclusion. So this is a really beautiful one. This is one of the things that really sparked my interest. Decentralization and financial inclusion are the two things that really sparked my interest. So the problem is at the moment, there's people around the world who have limited access to the TradFi system. So they don't actually have access to it. They're in third world countries. Their countries are really struggling in comparison to the US dollar. And so they also have very limited capacity to participate in the global economy. This kind of a system that we currently live in now, this us versus them, dog eat dog kind of a world, it actually keeps those countries stagnant in that third world status. They actually can't come out of it because their purchasing power is so low compared to the US dollar. And when everything is compared to petrol, for example, and you need petrol for electricity, then they're really struggling. Like it blows my mind. We don't suffer those kinds of problems in Australia, but if you go to somewhere like Africa, they'll have power outages every single day. Every single day they will have the power is turned off at a particular time because they can't afford the energy. The infrastructure there is not powerful enough to feed energy to everyone. And in Africa as well, they probably don't have the kinds of energy intensive devices and applications and everything in their homes like we do here in Australia in the more affluent countries. So it's really a huge problem. So it's something that's really close to my heart, this issue of third world countries. Really, why should those people, they are us, those people, we're all just one. Why should they suffer? Why should they be starving? Why should they be struggling? And then we here in the West are just gorging ourselves and just greedy and buying things that we don't really need. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's because of the traditional financial system. It's not a blame game. It's simply just the way that it is. And so the solution is this provides financial inclusion for the unbanked. So everyone around the world can have access to the internet. And even tribes in Africa, there's always someone who has a mobile phone. I went to India when I was in university many years ago. And even in the poorest villages, there's people with mobile phones. So it's something where it's almost like the most basic of things that everyone has a mobile phone. So just by having a mobile phone, even if there's only one in that community, it gives them access to the global financial system, and it can allow the unbanked to be banked. So this social component of actually connecting this third world into this new financial system is something that is really, really important in my opinion. Censorship resistant. So what does this mean? So the problem is at the moment with governments, corporations, they can actually censor and restrict your transactions. So if you think about in Canada recently, there were strikes. I think there was truck drivers and they were doing a strike. I'm not sure if it was related to, I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure what it was related to, but their access to their money was cut off by the government and the banks. No bank, no government should have that power to actually cut you off from your money. That is your money. They are only holding it for you. Why then do they have the authority to actually stop you and restrict you from accessing it? It is a disgrace. It's not right. It is absolutely 100% not right. They do not have that authority, but they have that authority because of the way that money works at the moment, that it's all centralized. So this is a huge problem. Same thing in Australia. We have restrictions. All the major banks now have restrictions on sending money to centralized exchanges for cryptocurrency for our protection. I don't buy that for a second. Everybody that I talk to doesn't buy that for a second. They've never cared about us. I don't know why they're caring now. I think it's got a lot more to do with the fact that they see the writing on the wall that the old traditional financial system is on its way out. It's an inevitability. It's an ancient system that will no longer work in this future world. This new world requires a new consciousness, a new system, and a new financial system. It's going to need a whole new world. Doesn't mean anarchy. It just means that we need a gradual transition, but it starts with the consciousness. Now, the solution is decentralized makes it censorship resistant. So we don't actually need any centralized authority. There is no need for a middleman. So therefore, it can't be censored. Nobody can actually stop you from transacting. Nobody has that authority because it's a decentralized network. There is no centralized figure that can actually do that. That is very, very powerful. That is very, very beautiful to me. Smart contracts. Okay, so the problem, I'll explain. You'll understand what a smart contract is once I get to the solution. So the problem is that you can't actually program traditional ledgers. So the traditional financial system, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to program contracts, automated contracts into the way transactions actually occur. Whereas with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because it's mathematics, it's a cryptographic algorithm on a blockchain, you can actually program it to implement certain things through different kinds of interactions with the network. So for example, I'm going to say, I'm going to give you this if you give me that. And where's the trust actually coming from? The trust is coming from the smart contract. So how do I know if I send this person that, how do I know he's going to send me that? The way that I know is through the smart contract. So the smart contract upholds that, and then it can be transferred in that way. But that interaction there, that connection where things transfer, you can actually program that to do different kinds of things as well. So the way that it's unlimited actually. So it's a self-executing contract. And so the terms of agreement are directly written into the code. So this is something that the traditional financial system can't actually do. We need lawyers and all these kinds of things. And it has a lot of friction. This is frictionless. It can actually be coded into the blockchain. So now I hope that's given you an understanding of what it actually is. So the reason why so many people are passionate about it is because it solves a lot of these problems. The major ones, in my opinion, are the centralization and the trust, and the fact that third world countries are really stagnant in this world of this current financial system. But now with things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, this money can become decentralized. So then there's no centralized power. There's no banks. Banks have all the power. The 2008 global financial crisis, it was essentially caused by the banks, the greeds of the banks and the investment banks. And how many of them went to prison in America? None. None of them went to prison. Imagine if we did that. We would all be going to prison. People get sent to prison for much less. And to top it off, the big disgrace there is they all got bonuses. They all got record bonuses. They wrecked the entire global financial system, and they're getting bonuses, buying yachts, buying mansions. It is a disgrace. And why can they do that? Because they actually have all the power. Money is the power. So this actually dilutes the power of money from a centralized figure, and it democratizes it. It decentralizes it. That is profound. That is beautiful. But it can do so much more than that. It can do so much more for the world than that. And so this is where the beauty of this comes. So now I'm going to quickly talk about BTCMobick, and only in the context of a hard fork. So in order to get to the next stage of what BTCMobick is, Bitcoin Mobick, I'm actually going to talk about what hard forks are. So as I've mentioned, there's these ledgers. So these ledgers basically are a history of the transactions up until this point. So every time there's a new transaction, a new interaction on the blockchain, the ledger continues and continues. So for example, when Bitcoin started, the ledger goes all the way from there until all the way today. Along the way, there has been divisions in the Bitcoin community and differences of opinions. And what actually happens is some will say, no, we need to be doing this. And some will say, no, we need to keep things the way that they are. And so the people who actually disagree with the way things are, they split. They split from this ledger, so that what it's called is a hard fork. So they copy the system state. So they copy that ledger. So everything that's happened before then, let's say they're together. And then everything that's happened from there, Bitcoin goes this way and the other fork goes that way, and it starts doing its own thing. It has its own ideas and its own ideals that it starts to follow. So it's just this endless experiment, really. And so there's all these different kinds of hard forks. That's what they're called. So a hard fork is really just copying that system state and then altering it to create something slightly different or completely new. Okay, so just for some comparisons now, this is the interesting, I'm just going to round this up on prices. So I want you just to get a sense of one of the reasons why I'm so excited. I mean, this is really not about price. There's so much more to this than price, but price says a lot as well. So this is what I want to quickly cover. So here is a quick chart of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin basically is valued at $27,720 Australian dollars at the moment for one Bitcoin. So it is the king of cryptocurrency. It's number one in global traded volume. Its market cap is in the billions and billions. And so it's the king. And then obviously it has many different forks. So now we're going to actually have a look at these, just the top 5 forks. So Bitcoin Cash. So Bitcoin Cash at the moment is currently valued at $228 Australian dollars. and it has a market cap of 4.4 million. So Bitcoin is in the billions. It's in the billions, whereas Bitcoin Cash has $4.4 million market cap. The market cap is how much money has actually been put into it. So this represents how much people actually value that particular network. You can say it's like a vote in that network by putting your money in it. I believe in this network, I'm putting my money there. In a sense, you can, again, consider it like, in a way, like a share. You put your money into a company and you say, well, I believe in this company. I'm going to buy shares in that company. So in a way, it's kind of like shares. That's how you can think of the market cap. The trading volume, so how much money is actually flowing through it in buys and sells every single day, the 24-hour volume was $203 million. So it's a lot of money that goes through these. And again, Bitcoin has billions of dollars that flow through it in its trading volume. Then the next one down is Bitcoin SV. Now, actually, first, look at this chart. Obviously, Bitcoin is the granddaddy, so it keeps going up. It keeps going up. The value of it keeps going up. Bitcoin Cash doesn't keep going up, so it split. If you can see here, there's this, so you see this huge surge here. So that was 2021, 2022 period, the last bull market. And then the last big jump was 2017, 2018. So this was huge. This is when Bitcoin reached $20,000. So that's when I first got into cryptocurrency, but now it's exploded beyond that. So it's gone up to, I think it was $69,000 at its all-time high in Australian dollars, in American dollars. And then the split here with Bitcoin Cash was just prior to the peak of that bull market in 2017, 2018. So it had a big top as well. Didn't get anywhere near. So it got just under $4,000. And then in the last bull market, it wasn't able to break its all-time high. So what does that mean? It means that the value of the network is decreasing. So the faith in the network is decreasing. There's no new money circulating into it, so it doesn't grow. Whereas Bitcoin grows, there's inherent value in it. There's that belief that's behind it. Then Bitcoin SV, same thing. It started to go up. It's done reasonably well, but now it's coming back down. So we'll actually see how it performs in this next bull market, whether or not it can break its all-time high. But again, it's never been as big as Bitcoin Cash, which is the second biggest fork, and it has a current value of $36 Australian dollars. Its market cap is 703 million, and it has a $65 million trading volume. And I don't know if I mentioned that, but it was 4.4 billion market cap in Bitcoin Cash. And then Bitcoin Gold, same thing now. So you can compare this to Bitcoin Cash. It had a big peak here and didn't get anywhere near its all-time high, and it's really starting to peter off. It's starting to die. So current value of $13, $234 million market cap, and 16.9 million trading volume. So you can see the market cap is getting less and less. It equals the value is getting less and less, and the trading volume is getting less and less. And then the next one, the fourth one along, is Bitcoin Diamond. So this is only worth 5 cents, 5 Australian cents. It has a market cap of 234 million and a 16.9 million trading volume. And you can see it's really abysmal. So it didn't get anywhere near its all-time high, and it's really looking like it's died off. So what actually happens is these communities split. They create their own fork, and really the growth of that token relies on the community, relies on the ideals that are actually pushing it forward. And so this is where BTCMobick is really just blowing me away, because the price hype is phenomenal. So, okay, all these other tokens, they're all traded on what's called an exchange, a decentralized exchange, or a centralized exchange. So somewhere where you can log into and you can trade and buy and trade with other people. This BTCMobick at the moment is only fully peer-to-peer traded. So there is no exchange that it's currently on. And so in just the space of 4 months, when it first started to be launched and airdropped, it got up to a value of just over 250,000 Korean won. So that's 185 US dollars and 295 Australian dollars. So in the space of just 4 months. Now, the airdrop, I will be explaining what the airdrop is in the next video. It ended. And normally when an airdrop ends, the price usually tanks because the community stops growing. So the price just tanks. This is just very normal. There's so many different things. The communities don't have a lot of passion. They just take their money and flee. That's what makes this project so fascinating. That's what makes it so interesting. The airdrop design. So the way that I've actually seen this grow is just blowing my mind. And the fact that it's 100% peer-to-peer traded. The markets are actually established through things like okay, so everybody's familiar with WhatsApp. So this originated in Korea. So they have an app called Kakao Talk. So the Koreans are awesome. They have, oh, by the way, annyeonghaseyo to all the Korean viewers. They have Kakao Talk. They have their own version of basically everything. They got their own version of Google, and their own version of WhatsApp is basically Kakao Talk. So in these big chat rooms, this is how people are actually trading this BTCMobick. So this is phenomenal. So it's actually just being traded in no centralized or decentralized exchanges. The exchange really is the mobile phone. It's absolutely phenomenal. So the fact that it's had this kind of a price surge in such a short period of time with only access to group chats is just mind-blowing. It really says a lot to me about the strength of this community. And it has had a dip. Yes, it's not at its all-time high, but we're still in what's called a bear market. And so, well, actually, you could argue we're actually coming out of a bear market. So bear market is when prices are going generally down, down, down. Bull market is when prices are going up, up, up. So now we're kind of getting towards what people are considering a bull market. And a lot of things are slowly maybe making their way up, but a lot of things are also still just kind of down and sideways. So the fact that this is showing such strong price action at such an early stage, when we're not even, when the fever of money and greed is not even there, because when everything's going up in cryptocurrency, when Bitcoin is really going up, the whole thing just goes up. And so really to see this kind of price action just blows me away. So I hope that actually gives you some context for what's actually I'm going to be unraveling in the next episode rather. And so in the next episode, I'm actually going to talk about the airdrop design. So the way the token was actually distributed. I want to introduce the founder, Min, and I'm going to introduce a few other ideas about BTCMobick. And it's probably going to be something that's going to take me a few series. And even today, I think I'm probably, oh my goodness, I've gone for half an hour. So I do apologize. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but I really wanted to explain this from the perspective of someone who's just brand new into cryptocurrency and really wanting them to see what this phenomenon of Bitcoin, what this phenomenon of cryptocurrency is, and what this phenomenon of BTCMobick is actually going to do for the world. Because again, I read that white paper today, and it blew me away. It absolutely blew me away. I was astounded at some of the ideas that even Bitcoin has not been able to implement because it doesn't have that kind of centralized figures, the centralized company who's actually driving the direction of the tokenomics. So I'm going to explain that in future episodes. So until then, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you also to all the Koreans. 감사합니다. The way you've supported the channel. And thank you to Min for sharing my video on his channel as well. I really appreciate it. I'm doing this because I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this because this project came into my life and serendipitously came into my life. And I really follow these things. I really follow the universe. And it's been I just follow my heart, and it's been something that's opening my heart, blowing my mind wide open, and I'm just loving every minute of it. I have no expectations. I'm just loving it, and things are just happening, and it's amazing. So 감사합니다 to all the Koreans here. 감사합니다, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day, have a good week, and I hope to see you all in the next episode.